Welcome to our deep dive all about empathy.
Ooh, exciting.
We're using this podcast episode
Okay.
called The Role of Empathy in Emotional Intelligence to guide us today.
I'm ready.
So empathy,
Yeah.
it's like this superpower you can use to connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not all about feelings,
Right.
like
Right.
warm fuzzies.
No.
This deep dive is going to unpack how understanding
Okay.
the different types of empathy
Interesting.
can help you build better relationships and communicate better.
I like it.
So
Yeah.
what exactly is empathy?
Okay, good question.
This podcast we're using defines it as the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person.
Mm-hmm.
But is that all there is to it?
Well, it's a good place to start,
Okay.
but there's a lot more to it than just knowing how someone's feeling.
Okay.
It's about really stepping into their shoes, seeing the world how they see it.
So like
Right.
understanding where they're coming from
Exactly.
and then responding to them
Yeah.
in a way that shows you get it.
Exactly.
So it's more than recognizing their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
It's about understanding the why behind them.
Yes.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
think about it this way.
Okay.
Empathy has 3 parts.
Okay.
It's like a 3-legged stool.
Okay. I like that.
The first leg is cognitive empathy.
Okay.
Understanding someone's perspective and how they think.
Okay. So you're like a
Yeah.
detective
Exactly.
gathering clues about why someone acts the way they do.
Mm-hmm. And you're putting the pieces together,
Okay.
thinking about their background, their experiences, their current situation.
To figure out why they're behaving that way.
Exact.
Got it.
The second leg is emotional empathy,
Okay.
where you connect with their feelings on a deeper level.
So you're tuning into their
Yes.
emotional frequency.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not about getting swept away, though.
Right.
Think of it as holding space for their feelings.
But not losing yourself.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
And the third leg, which really makes empathy powerful,
Okay.
is compassionate empathy.
And what's that?
It's the call to action.
I see.
When you understand where someone is coming from
Okay.
and you understand how they're feeling,
Mm-hmm.
that's what motivates you to help,
Okay.
offer support, be there for them
Okay.
in a
Yeah.
meaningful way.
So you understand, you
Mhm.
feel,
Yep,
then you take action.
exactly.
Got it.
The podcast we're using had this amazing example
Ooh, tell me about it.
about a manager
Okay.
who used empathy to completely change her relationship with someone on her team.
Wow.
It was a total turning point.
I'm ready to hear this.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the manager was about to put this team member
Oh.
on a performance improvement plan.
Wow. Okay.
She was really frustrated because she thought this person wasn't motivated,
Oh.
and she was ready to take action.
It sounds intense.
It was a tough spot.
Yeah.
But instead of jumping right in,
Oh.
making a decision, she decided to talk with this person.
Okay.
Not to criticize,
Right.
but to really understand what was going on.
Okay, so she took the time to listen before making a decision.
Exactly.
Good for her.
And it made all the difference
I-
through active listening
Okay.
and asking thoughtful questions.
Uh-huh.
This manager learned
Yeah.
that her team member was dealing with a really serious family illness,
Oh, wow.
and they were just completely overwhelmed.
That changes things.
It does.
Okay, so what did the manager do?
Well,
Yeah.
instead of focusing on performance,
Okay.
she offered support
Aye.
and flexibility.
Okay.
She changed deadlines.
Right.
She even helped this team member find resources to deal with the situation.
Wow, that's amazing.
Right.
That's a great example
Yes.
of all 3 types of empathy.
Mhm.
She understood the situation.
Cognitive empathy.
She connected with her team members' feelings.
Emotional empathy.
And then she did something to help.
Compassionate empathy.
It's amazing how much of a difference that made.
It is.
The team member felt seen,
Yes.
heard, and valued.
Mm-hmm.
Their performance improved.
Yeah.
Their relationship became much stronger.
So powerful.
But such a great example
Yeah.
of how powerful empathy can be.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I have to admit,
What's that?
sometimes empathy is hard for me,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
especially when I'm stressed or burnt out.
Oh, yeah. I know what you mean.
Does the podcast talk about why?
It does.
Okay.
One of the biggest barriers to empathy
Okay.
is emotional fatigue.
I can see that.
When we're exhausted,
Yeah.
it's really hard to have the energy to connect.
Right, like when your own tank is empty,
Yeah.
it's hard to give to someone else,
Exactly.
even if you want to.
It's just not there.
Okay. Are there other barriers?
There are
What are they?
our own judgments.
Okay.
Yeah, biases.
So you mean that even when we're not burnt out,
Mm-hmm.
we can still struggle to understand someone
Yes.
because of our preconceived notions.
Exactly.
So like our own biases
Mm-hmm.
become blinders,
Yes. Yeah.
keeping us from seeing the whole picture.
That's a great way to put it.
Wow.
Another thing the podcast mentioned
Hi.
is being afraid of vulnerability.
That makes sense.
To really empathize with someone,
Yeah.
we have to open ourselves up to their emotions, which can be scary.
So you're opening yourself up
Yes.
to feeling uncomfortable
Yes.
along with them.
But even though it can be hard,
Mm.
it's worth it.
Okay.
The rewards are huge.
Okay. Tell me more.
Stronger relationships,
Oh.
better communication,
Mm-hmm.
even better mental health.
So worth the risk.
Yes.
Okay. So we've talked about the what and the why,
Right.
but I want to know
Yeah.
how do we actually get better at empathy?
The podcast has some good advice.
Okay, tell me.
It all starts with active listening.
I've heard that term, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure I know what it really means.
It's more than just hearing the words. It's being fully present, engaging all your senses,
Oh.
showing real interest,
Okay.
like turning up the volume on your attention.
Interesting.
You really need to pay attention
Uh-huh.
to their verbal cues
Okay.
and their nonverbal cues.
So it's about more
yes.
than just listening with your ears.
It
You're
is.
listening with your whole being.
Exactly. Notice their tone of voice,
Okay.
their facial expressions,
Mm-hmm.
their body language.
Interesting.
Are they leaning in or pulling away?
Oh.
Are they making eye contact or looking around?
I see.
All of these things can tell you so much.
It's like a
Yeah.
secret language.
It is.
Okay, so
Yeah.
how do we become better active listeners?
Ask open-ended questions.
Okay, so not
Yes.
yes or no questions.
Yeah,
Why is that better?
because a closed-ended question leads to a short answer,
Uh-huh.
but an open-ended question
Yeah.
invites them to share more.
Okay, I see.
Instead of asking, are you upset about this?
Right.
You could ask, can you tell me more about how you're feeling?
Okay, so it shows
Yeah.
you're really interested
Exactly.
in what they have to say,
Yeah.
not just getting the answer.
And don't interrupt. Even if you think you know what they'll say
Yeah,
or you have the perfect answer,
I do that.
just hold back.
Okay.
Let them finish.
Okay.
People need to feel heard
hmm
before they're ready for advice.
Sometimes
Yeah.
the best thing to do is just listen.
It really is.
It's hard,
Let
but
people-
important.
Yes.
It's so powerful to just let someone talk.
It is.
Wow. I can think of so many times
I know, right?
when I've jumped in
Yeah.
with advice
Mm-hmm.
before I really even listened.
It happens.
Okay. So the more we practice active listening,
Yes.
the better we get at it.
Yeah.
And it's worth it.
Okay, so active listening.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Another important strategy is perspective taking. Okay, what's that?
It's about stepping outside
Uh-huh.
of your own worldview
Mm-hmm.
and putting yourself in their shoes. You have to challenge your assumptions and use your imagination.
So you're trying to see the world
Yes.
through their eyes.
Exactly.
Even if you don't agree with
Yeah.
their viewpoint.
How would you feel? What's influencing how they see things?
Okay.
Look for those nonverbal cues.
Right?
What's their body language telling you?
I see.
What emotions are they
Oh,
showing?
through their face and their posture.
Exactly.
So you're putting the pieces together
Yes.
from their words and their actions.
It's like a puzzle.
Okay.
Another important technique
Okay, what's that?
is mirroring and validating.
Okay, break that down for me.
Mirroring is about reflecting back the emotions you see
All right.
here in the other person.
So instead of saying, don't be sad,
Right.
you could say,
Yeah.
it sounds like you're feeling really sad. So you're acknowledging their feelings
Exactly.
without judgment.
And validation is
Yeah.
about letting them know their feelings are okay.
So even if you don't agree
Yes.
with their perspective,
It's saying, I see you, I hear you, and your feelings are valid.
okay,
It makes them feel safe and understood.
so powerful.
It is.
Okay, so we've got active listening,
Yes.
perspective taking,
Mm-hmm.
mirroring and validating.
Yes.
What else?
Okay, this one is really interesting.
Ooh, I'm intrigued.
Expanding your emotional exposure.
Okay, tell me more.
It's about going out and having experiences
Oh.
that expose you to new perspectives
I like it.
and new emotions.
So you're getting out of your bubble.
Yes.
Okay.
You could read books or watch movies
Okay.
that explore different cultures or experiences.
So it's all about exposing yourself to new things.
Exactly.
And how does that help us be more empathetic?
Well, the more we see
Yeah.
different ways of thinking and feeling, the better we understand people.
It's like
Gotta
stretching those empathy muscles.
Yes.
Okay.
The podcast also talks about empathy in action.
What does that look like?
It's finding those small ways
Okay.
to show compassion and support to the people around you.
I like that.
Notice when someone's struggling and offer help,
Okay.
a kind word, or just listen.
So you take what you've learned about empathy and put it into action.
Exactly.
Wow, we've covered so much.
We have.
What are the key takeaways?
Well, the biggest thing to remember is that empathy is a skill that you can learn.
I like that.
And get better at.
Okay.
It's not something you're just born with.
It's empowering.
It is.
To know we can learn to be more empathetic.
Okay. What else?
Empathy isn't about fixing people or solving their problems.
Okay.
It's about understanding them, validating them, and supporting them.
On their journey.
That's a good distinction.
So what's the most important thing our listeners can do?
Good question.
After this deep dive.
I think the most important thing is active listening.
Yes.
Make the effort to really listen.
To the people around you.
Okay.
Without judging or interrupting.
You might be surprised.
You might.
By what you learn.
Yes.
And how much closer you feel to people.
Absolutely.
You know, the podcast we've been using has a challenge.
Oh, tell me about it.
They want everyone to have at least one conversation this week where they focus on active listening.
I love that.
It's like an empathy experiment.
It is.
Tune in.
Be present.
And focus on understanding.
Yes.
It could change your relationships.
Absolutely.
The podcast also has a reflection question.
Oh, what is it?
They want you to think about a disagreement you had recently.
Yeah.
And think about what the other person might have been feeling.
Interesting.
It makes you see things from their perspective.
Oh, exactly.
And it might help you approach things differently next time.
So good. Wow, this has been great.
I know.
We've learned so much about empathy.
We have.
But before we wrap up part 1,
I
have one more thought-provoking question.
Okay. Lay it on us.
Think about the 3 types of empathy.
Cool.
Cognitive, emotional, and compassionate.
Yes.
If you could focus on just one, which one would you choose?
Okay.
And why?
Interesting question.
Think about how empathy can help you grow and connect with people.
In your own unique way.
We'll continue talking about empathy.
I can't wait.
In part 2 of this deep dive.
See there. It's interesting how we talk about empathy in our personal relationships, but it's super important at work, too.
Yeah, totally. We spend so much time at work.
Exactly.
Understanding how empathy works there is crucial.
It can really change things. How so?
Well, it can make teams work better.
Okay.
Everyone's more productive. And even customers are happier.
Wow. Okay. I'm listening.
Okay. So think about leadership.
Okay.
Empathetic leaders really connect with their team members.
Okay.
They understand their perspective.
Right.
And they create a supportive environment.
So they're not just focused on the bottom line.
No, they care about the people.
That makes sense.
It makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
People are more motivated, more engaged when they feel valued.
Yeah, they want to feel like they matter.
Exactly. Not like they're just a cog in a machine.
Right.
It's also important for communication.
Okay.
When we're empathetic,
Yeah.
we listen better. We understand other viewpoints.
Okay.
And we can find common ground.
Even when we disagree.
Exactly.
It helps us navigate conflict.
It does.
I've definitely felt that lack of empathy at work.
It's
demotivating.
It is.
And customers.
Oh, yeah.
Empathy is so important
It is.
for creating a good experience.
Think about it. When a company really listens to you, understands your needs, and feel valued, you're more likely to stick with them.
Makes sense. It builds loyalty and trust.
Exactly.
Okay, so empathy at work.
Yes.
How do we actually do it?
Well, it has to be a priority.
So
it has to be part of the company culture.
Okay.
Not just something people try to do on their own. It has to be encouraged by the company.
Okay, so what can companies do?
They can provide empathy training.
Like workshops?
Yeah, or online courses.
Okay.
To help people learn about the different types of empathy.
Okay.
And practice those skills.
That would be helpful.
They can also encourage active listening and perspective taking.
So like having regular one-on-one meetings or team building activities.
That help people see things from different perspectives.
And not just colleagues.
Customers too.
Okay, so using customer feedback.
To make better decisions.
That meet their needs.
Exactly. And companies should also celebrate and reward empathy.
How do you reward empathy?
You can recognize employees who are really good at it. You can share stories of empathy in action.
And you could even
Yes.
give awards.
Like an Empathy Champion Award.
It shows that empathy matters. It makes it a core value.
Yes.
And that creates a more positive environment.
For everyone.
We've talked a lot about work.
We have.
But empathy is also important
Yes.
in our personal lives.
Absolutely. It's the foundation of strong relationships.
Oh, it's everyone.
Our partners, families, friends.
So those same strategies.
Yes.
It apply.
Active listening, perspective taking.
Okay.
Mirroring and validating.
We can use all of that.
It's like a toolkit.
I like that.
For building connections.
It takes practice, though.
It does.
The more we do it,
yeah,
the better we get.
You know, sometimes empathy's hard.
I know.
Especially when we're dealing with difficult people.
Right. Or situations that trigger us.
That's true.
So it's not about being a pushover.
Or letting people walk all over you.
Or agreeing with everything.
It's about trying to understand, even when it's hard.
So how do we do it?
When it's hard.
Yeah, when someone's pushing our buttons.
Well, it starts with self-awareness.
Okay.
Understanding your own triggers and biases.
So you're saying we need to understand ourselves.
Before we can understand others. And sometimes we need to step back from a conversation to calm down.
Like hitting the pause button.
Exactly. Give yourself a few minutes to process.
Okay.
And then when you're ready, focus on understanding.
Not judging.
Exactly.
It's like seeing through their lens.
Even if it's blurry. And remember, you can validate their feelings without condoning their behavior.
That's helpful.
So you can be empathetic and still have boundaries.
So we can be empathetic.
Yes.
Without sacrificing ourselves.
Exactly.
Wow, this deep dive
I know.
is really changing how I see empathy.
It's not about being nice.
Right.
It's about making connections.
And understanding.
Even when it's hard.
Exactly.
And it's important to remember it's about progress, not perfection.
Okay.
We're all works in progress.
We are.
And we'll mess up sometimes.
That makes me feel better.
The important thing is to keep practicing.
And keep learning.
This has been great.
It has. We've learned so much.
About empathy.
And this is just part 2.
I know.
Of our 3-part series. We'll be back.
For part 3.
With more on this fascinating topic.
Oh.
Okay, so we're back.
Ready for more empathy.
We've talked about what empathy is and why it matters. Now let's talk about how to actually use it.
Okay.
Every single day.
It's like learning a language.
Oh, so
you can learn all the rules. But you have to actually speak it.
To get good at it.
Exactly.
So how do we become fluent?
In empathy.
Yes.
Start your day.
Okay.
With an intention to be more empathetic.
So like.
Yes.
I'm going to be an empathy superstar today.
I love it.
Okay.
And visualize yourself.
Okay.
Practicing empathy.
In different situations.
Like imagine listening to a coworker who's having a rough time.
Okay.
Or offering help to a stranger.
So you're training your brain.
Yes.
To be more compassionate.
Exactly.
Another tip.
What's that?
Pay attention to your body language.
Oh, it's so important.
I know I catch myself getting distracted sometimes.
It happens.
So I should be listening.
So, how can we use body language?
You show empathy.
Make eye contact. Nod your head, lean in, and put your phone away.
Yeah. I need to work on that.
It's hard.
It is.
But it shows you're really listening.
And tone of voice.
Oh, yes.
Is that important too?
Speak in a warm, genuine tone and try to match their energy.
Like if they're speaking softly.
Yes.
I should too.
Exactly. Sometimes touch can be powerful.
Okay.
A pat on the back or a hug.
Okay.
But be mindful of boundaries.
Of course.
Physical touch can really convey empathy.
It can be comforting.
It can.
And practice gratitude.
Oh, I love that one.
Does that really make us more empathetic?
When you focus on the good, you're more open to others.
A grateful heart is a magnet for miracles.
It's true.
Maybe it's a magnet for empathy too.
I think you're right.
And sometimes the best empathy is spontaneous.
It is.
Like when you see someone struggling.
Yes.
And you offer to help.
Those little moments can make a big difference.
It's like being a bright spot.
In their day.
Exactly.
Kind.
Because it's fighting a hard battle.
That's so true.
And empathy doesn't always have to be a grand gesture.
No.
It can be something small.
Like
holding the door.
Yes.
Giving a compliment. Asking how someone's doing.
And really mean it.
Those little things matter.
They do.
It's amazing how much empathy impacts everything.
Our relationships.
Yeah.
Our well-being.
It's a journey.
It is.
Of growth and self-discovery.
And like any journey,
yeah,
there will be challenges.
We'll make mistakes.
We will.
But what do we do?
When we mess up.
Yeah. How do we get back on track?
Be kind to yourself.
Okay.
It's okay to make mistakes. It's how we learn.
So ask yourself.
Yeah.
What can I learn from this?
Exactly.
How could I do better next time?
And if you need help, talk to someone. A friend, a therapist, a mentor.
Someone you admire.
Exactly.
We're all in this together.
We are.
The more empathy we practice, the better the world becomes.
I love that.
This has been such a great deep dive.
We've learned so much.
About empathy.
I think the biggest takeaway...
What is it?
Is that empathy is essential.
It's not just nice.
No.
It's necessary.
It helps us connect.
Build relationships.
And make the world a better place.
Be an empathy superhero.
Yes.
Even small acts of empathy.
Yeah, make a difference.
Thank you for joining us.
On this deep dive into empathy.
Keep learning.
Keep practicing.
And keep spreading that empathy.